Okay, on this exercise, you're going to be using your workbook from page 89, and there's this table that you'll trace 3 times, and you're going to put some objects on the table so that you'll have reflections. And then notice how I put a window behind the table, or you can make it a painting, but you want to have something directly behind the table. And then I added a floor line coming in right at that X out either side. So this first example, we're going to make it a glass top table with stainless steel legs. The next one, a wooden table with iron legs. And then finally the marble table with bronze legs. But you want to have that same scenario for all 3. And we're going to see how we can vary our rendering based on our marker and pencil work. So starting with the glass table, I'm going to use the cool grays, starting with N95. And I want to think of this light coming through this window. So I'm going to have a lighter tone here. So I'm going to bring those verticals of the window straight down to create that lighter tone, and bring this vertical straight down also to create that patch of light. And then I'm just going to add in a few more verticals here. So remember, when you have a reflective surface, the lights coming in, or the reflective effects, happen with verticals. So I'm going to add some of the N75 just to darken that up in some patches. And you want to create that wet into wet look to give it that feeling of glass. I'll also use that on the side of the table. And I'm also going to use a little of this greenish tone, the 291, to give it that kind of feeling of the glass coming into that tempered glass on the edge. Now I also want to add in a reflective element. So if the light's coming this way, I'm going to, let's say that's an orange bowl again, I'm going to use the N79 down here on the side away from the bowl. Use a little of that on this as well. And then I'm going to take the orange on top of that. And then I'm going to take the N89 to soften it out. And then notice how I'm trying to keep white on the edges so it looks reflective. Now I'm going to take that blended N89 and use that blended orange coming down, straight down, to create the reflection. See how that worked? So again, I'm just coming straight down from the bowl itself. And I might add a little touch of that N79 again here, so it looks like it's darker down in here on both the bowl and the reflection. So let's say I have a bronzy colored box, or something metallic. So I put the gray in first. Now I'm going to add that. And now I'm going to do the same idea of taking the N89 through that color to blend it, and then coming straight down to create the reflection. Okay, now we're going to pop that up with pencil also here in just a second. All right, now I want to start to add some darker tone to, so what I do is I try to keep my warm separate from my cool. Not always easy to do, but then that's going to be helpful. So I'm going to take some of the cool gray again, and this is the N75, and start to add in some of the undertone of the stainless by applying some of this to it. Again, we're going to pop this up with some pencil. Coming up here in a minute. Okay, so that was the N79. Now I'm going to go to the N65, and again, this side that's facing away from the light, I want to go even a little bit darker, a few spots. Okay, so that was the N65. So you see you're starting to get a reflection there. And now I'm going to also just add a wall tone. So we'll just go back to the N95, add a darker wall tone here on the side of the wall that's facing away from the light. Or you can even use a color here if you'd prefer. Just keeping it a little more neutral. Okay, so the point is, see how you can see the values reflecting down into the table, vertically straight down. Okay, so now once it gets a little bit drier, I'm going to add in some pencil. So let's see if it's dry enough. Let's give it a try. So I'm going to take some of the, first the green, which is this one, phones. And I'm going to shade a little bit of that on the edge of the table to make it look tempered. Okay, and I'm going to shimmer just a little of that in the top. Now I'm going to take some white and add a little bit of secondary highlight to the bowl. And I already kind of did a good job leaving some white on the reflection, but you can use the white pencil if you need that. Now I'm also going to take the white pencil and just pop up some contrast on the chrome legs, adding this hotter white. Now what's going to make that pop more is taking the 90% next to that and just outlining a crisper line with this darker gray and the 90% gray. And you want to make sure that you have a very sharp point, or keep a very sharp point on your pencil. So see if it starts to dull, you want to go back in with your pencil sharpener and make sure that that point stays nice and crisp, so you get those best use of the effect. Okay, now then the last thing I'd probably do on this is perhaps just give myself some kind of a carpet color or some wash on the bottom. But so we don't want to go into our next sketch, so let's leave that alone. Okay, so that's the glass with the metallic legs. Now we're going to do the wood, and so again we're going to take some different wood tone, and so I'm going to use the 910 and mix that with the brown. So this in 47. So I want to do the same thing. I'm going to bring in this lighter tone and where the glass is hitting. Okay. I want to do the same concept where I have the darker tone here for the bowl and put the orange on top. But I'll do a little bit softer reflection this time. So I'm going to take the N89 again through the orange. Start to get that blended color. But I'm going to just clean that tip out just a little bit so I get like a softer shimmer of the orange. Okay, not so bright. So same thing with the bronze bowl. I'm going to go ahead and put this harsh yellow on there. Take some of the N89 through that. But again, just kind of imply this a little bit softer color in there. Okay, so now I want to get the wood tone. So I'm going to go ahead and take some of this color that I want the wood to be. So I'm actually going to do a mix of a couple colors. It looks kind of has a range of value in it. Now, depending on how polished the wood is, you either want to leave this, you know, just like you see it where you have a pretty bright highlight, but if you want it to look like it's more of a soft polish, what I do is again lift out through with the N89 and create a blended tone here of the wood tone in the reflective area. So again, we're trying to reflect that lighter value down and the light from the window straight down. Okay, that's the idea. All right, now I need to work in this reflection a little bit. Okay, so now notice how my reflection's pretty soft. So I want to think about if I have a darker value here on the vase, I'm going to see that darker value in the reflection. Okay, so I want to take some of the gray again. So when you have wood, you're seeing more of the values reflected more than per se the color, or the color per se, I guess I should say. But I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more of the color, like this, into the reflection. And so again, you're trying to make it feel like you can see it, but not just a little bit more subtly than you could see on the glass. On this glass one, I also want to add a little darker line here for the reflection, just to pop it. Okay, so you can see, hopefully that it's a little softer here. I'm just gonna do a little dot of orange though. Feels like it's not really into the orange enough for me. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of that orange back in. Okay, now it's relating better. All right, and so now if I have these bronze or iron legs, I'm gonna take a dark gray, or this is the N25. And with iron, it's gonna stay pretty matte looking, so not a lot of highlight. Okay, and now I'm going to add in the wall color again. You don't have to make them as close together as I did. I just was doing that for the demo, so you can get all three views in one fell swoop. Okay, so then once again you want to let it dry for a second, and now I'm going to go back in and create some wood graining on the top by taking a lighter pencil. In this case I got this color that's called, what is this color called? Sable, and I'm going to add a few lines through the wood. Especially here on the side. Give it some texture. And then I'm also going to take the color that's called sepia and go darker here on the side of the table that's facing away from the light. Okay, so see, you can see the reflections in the wood tone. Now, finally, I'm going to demo how to do reflections with marble. So on this one, we're picturing kind of a white, it's called like a Carrara marble. So when you're doing marble, when you're doing the veining, you want to make sure that your veins are lying flat. So I'm going to start with the same idea of bringing the reflected tone straight down. And then I want to, you can use either the brush tip or you can use this fine point and start to add in some of these vein lines going across the slab. And I would go fainter here on the area that's reflecting the light. So you want to kind of vary the pressure on the pen and here on this side too. Make it look like you're seeing the vein go all the way through the slab. Now I'm also going to want to see the value coming down. So I'm going to take the N95 again and do some darker tone coming in here and there on the slab and on the side. Okay, and now I want to still use, we'll just keep with the orange bowl idea. So I'm still going to use the N79, give it a tone, put a little orange on that, then take the N89, wash it through, create that softer glow, and bring that down, upside down, to start to feel like the reflection. Same thing, I'm going to add some of the golden tone onto the box, so it looks like the metallic box, and bring that straight down. Okay, and then again I'm going to take the N89 and go through that, kind of soften it, so see that coming straight down. Okay, so now I'm going to add some pencil texture. Oh wait, I'm going to do the bronze legs. So with bronze I usually use the N57. Let me find that in my palette here. Nope, that's not it. Where'd you go? Thought I had it pulled apart. Oh, here it is. Okay, so I'm going to use the N57. because it has a kind of a green undercast. And bronze, as we know, is an amalgam of copper and tin, so it has a bit of a green undercast. Since you took the history class, you know that. Yay. Okay. All right. So you're starting to see the table. Now I'm going to add just a little bit of the color of the wall again. That relates to what you're seeing on the table. Okay, so now let's talk about how to make some of those marble effects pop more. So I'm going to take some white here and into the top, but mainly I want to use that dark gray pencil again. Just gotta find it. Yep, that's the green. Okay, here it is. And then see how my tip's not very sharp? So I need to add a darker, or add a sharper point there. And so I'm going to go in with that pencil and kind of pop up some of those vein lines by letting the pencil kind of skip and go a little softer here through the place where the light's bleaching it out. And then here, even on the side, when I feel like you can see some vein lines. Okay, then again I would take some white, and this is where you could also use some opaque hot white if you have that. I don't have that handy, but you can use that crisp white to get a feeling of the stone. And I'm just going to use a little bit of the white in the bronze, but more importantly I'm going to take some of the green, the Vert Fonts again, and just shade a little undertone of green into the bronze in a few spots. Okay, so hopefully you can see that we still see the reflection going straight down on all three, but see how it's more subtle on the wood table, more pronounced on the glass and the marble table. And then if you feel like you need a more definition, you can always add in that little bit of pencil to help pop it some more. And again, you want the reflections to go straight upside down and crop at the edge, okay? And then you can see the lighter tone of the window side that's getting hit with light, reflecting lighter into the table in these three spots. The panel of light from the window reflecting lighter in these three spots. And then this side of the table going darker because it's facing away from the window. Okay, so that is your workbook, page 89. And you want to try glass with stainless, wood with iron, marble with bronze.